Hi, Adam Bazalgette here, founder of Scratch Golf Academy. Today's subject, upright backswing versus flat backswing in golf. Which is better? Well, certainly there's been examples of pros that had each and had success, but I'll take you through some of the advantages and disadvantages of each, how you might be able to sort of strategize what's best for you based on body style, perhaps. We'll have a good look at it. We'll have some fun. Well, very briefly, if you're new to Scratch Golf Academy, maybe you've watched the videos before but have never subscribed, would really appreciate it if you would. Helps us bring you more free content. Also, the little red bell there, if you tick that, you'll be notified every time we're bringing you a new video. Well, I actually had a little bit of help with my game recently. It involved swing playing. An old trusted friend and coach, Andrew Rice, gave me a little tip there. So it's close to my mind right now, this subject. Before we really delve into it, look at some of the positives and negatives and who I think might be best suited to each plane. Let's have a quick look on video at a couple of pros so we have a clear definition, at least the definition I would give of what is flat and what is upright. So Matt Kuchar on the left, Fred Couples on the right, both hitting short to mid irons on par threes there. Well, Matt's going to be the flat player. Now, I just want to point out, when we say flat, we don't mean getting the club behind the golfer over here. It's staying in front of his hands. But what I'm referring to, and I think this is the best definition, is that his arm plane is fairly flat. Let's contrast that with Fred Couples. Get a nice takeaway, but much more of an upward look in the arm plane. And the way I would define that would be, if you look at the shoulder plane, a line drawn across there, Matt would be underneath it, Fred would be above it. So in the case of Fred there, you're seeing the shoulder between the arms. In the case of Matt, you're seeing it above the arms. That really, to me, is the definition. Before we get started, I suggest you film yourself sometimes. Make sure you have a good camera angle. It's so easy with your phone or a friend holding the camera there. See where your plane really is, not just where you think it is. Now, dealing with the upright plane, two types of people I would not suggest this for. Number one, thicker, upper-bodied people, guys or gals, big sort of barrel-chested, larger people, because what happens when their arms get up, they're too big to drop them way in. There isn't a lot of ease in dropping it. So when they start to turn, they just can't recover from it and get the club to the inside. So if you look typically, let's say Craig Stadler for an example, Masters champion, big thicker guy. This sort of a player usually has a firmer, wider, flatter sort of a plane, because again, with their size, club tends to come forward a little bit in the downswing, kind of gives them some insurance. The other sort of person I probably wouldn't recommend it for, if you've had a long-standing habitual tendency to come over the top, regardless of physique, hey listen, if you get up here, you've got to drop it in. So I would have a little bit flatter, shorter backswing, gives you some sort of insurance against getting out there and getting steep. So let's look at the upright swing now and who it would have an advantage for and why it can be a good idea for certain golfers. Let's have a look at a couple of pros. Okay. Fred Couples on the left, Justin Thomas on the right. So let's have a look here. Drivers both, big upright backswing. So one of the things that happens, there's a pretty conventional start, but when he lets his arms rise and swing that much, he creates a lot of length in the backswing, and that is stored power. Not only that, but when his arms swing that far and he gets his hips going, there's a bigger differential between hips and club than there would be if he had a flatter, shorter arm swing with less lift of the arm. So he gets a big separation there, club head / hands to hips, and that club just drops right in the slot. Let's watch Freddie here. Again, big long backswing, really gets the hips going. And as he does, almost like a baseball player, you see that club drop down to the inside. He's got some stored power now because his hips are really motoring, the club's dropped to the inside, and it has a huge whip at the ball at the last instant. So to me, if you're taller, leaner, sort of long-limbed, that's the sort of person that could benefit from this. Now, that sort of person often isn't super strong, so they need a bit of length and momentum in their swing to really generate quite a bit of power. And by letting it get more upright, it basically means the arms have swung more and they've moved the hands further away from the golf ball. Helps them store power. And conversely, with the types we sort of contrasted in the previous segment where we were talking about thicker bodied people, they're lean and long, so when their arms swing up, they can easily drop them back in, or at least if they can manage it, they can easily drop them back in. And as you see, that creates a lot of potential speed. When they get up there and drop, you can hit the ball a pretty long way. You have to be fairly coordinated with it and fairly flexible, but it can be very helpful for those sorts of people. Let's look at a third option. Well, the other option, of course, is neutral. That's what I'm working on. And even though I'd like to have made a little bit longer backswing there, that's about what I have these days, I'm pretty much across that shoulder plane. I'm a medium style body person, as a lot of players are. There's been so many, if not most successful players are somewhat in the middle. So middle ground is good. I find when I get to about that point, I can be a little more aggressive with my body through the ball and make a little bit stronger move. For me, when I get upright, I tend to tilt too much on the downswing, so that frees me up. Well, listen, this game's about having fun at the end of the day, so have a little fun with these two options. See what works best for you, but I think you'll find at the end of the day, if you make a decision more based on body style, swing tendencies, etc., stick with it, you'll have the best results.